David Dennis Jr., Kevin Clark. And look what we got here. Woody Page, Bob Ryan. OGs for your emojis. Let's talk baseball. 6 outs from season over. The Jackson Chourio missile and then Garrett Mitchell pinch hit first swing. Pandemonium. Milwaukee rejuvenated. Mets got zapped. But you got to have a short memory because tonight is everything. And a panel question. Do you believe in momentum in the baseball playoffs?
Ooh.
Let's go around the horn.
Worse.
We'll get to that momentarily. Thursday Night Football, 3-1 Bucks at 2-2 Falcons. Baker and Cousins in prime time. I've had a hard time on this show getting anyone to believe in the Buccaneers. And then, oh look, Atlanta's favorite tonight. National panel, here's the question. Who should feel better going in? And what would a win do for Tampa or Atlanta? This is football. This is Around the Horn to Kevin Clark.
Over the past couple of months, everybody's viewed the Bucks as a placeholder champion or somebody who won the division last year by default. Not to make myself look like a clown, but I would include myself in that. I look like a clown right now because the Bucks are the same team they were last year. They generate pressure. Baker Mayfield looks good. Guess who else is the same team as last year? The Atlanta Falcons. Even though they solved, that's in quotes, their quarterback problem by getting 2 quarterbacks, not none like they had last year, they still don't get Kyle Pitts the ball. They still don't generate pressure just like they did last year. They're the worst pass rush this year in the entire NFL. The test here is that over the past few years, Kirk Cousins has been the best quarterback in the NFL against the blitz, but he cannot move like he has the last few years coming off that Achilles injury. The Bucks are going to blitz him. I believe they get to him. I believe Kirk Cousins can do nothing. Bucks win. Bucks
All
win.
right, so you'd rather be Tampa. You admit to all your previous faults, mea culpa, my most grievous fault for Kevin Clark. Bob, you've been doing this show for a long time. You remember when a panelist said, I'm a clown, give me points? That's never happened before. Please, go ahead, Bob, on who'd you rather be tonight?
Oh, that new generation. Okay. As far as the Falcons are concerned, am I supposed to be impressed with a team that has 5 offensive touchdowns in 4 games? No.
Okay, all right.
Okay, Tampa Bay, okay. Who knew, who would think that this 5 weeks into the season, that the victory over the Commanders was a marquee victory? But it's starting to look that way. They beat Detroit. And everybody was high on Detroit. Who wasn't, right? So they're for real, however, in what is a boring, irrelevant division that somebody has to win. It looks like right now.
Okay.
It looks like right now. I'm sorry. It has to be them. They have a lot to like. Baker Mayfield, we can praise him to the skies the way he's playing. That's all fine, well and good. One little cautionary tale. He's been sacked 15 times already. So, hey, guys, you better do a little better job of protecting your meal.
Some thought the NFC South was turning. New Orleans has bubbled up as well. David Dennis Jr. around the horn to you. Who'd you rather be tonight?
I'd rather be Tampa Bay because they're the best team in an actually impressive division. That division has cracked out some good wins. The Saints dominated the Cowboys. Falcons came back against the Eagles. They have great wins, including the wins that Bob mentioned with Tampa Bay dominating the Lions and beating the Commanders, earlier in the season. What this game comes down to is Baker Mayfield proving a lot of people wrong that last year was not a fluke. He's top 10 in touchdowns, completion percentage, and yards right now. And on the flip side, Kirk Cousins, under pressure, has a 2.8 QBR. These two guys are not on the same plane right now. Baker Mayfield is better. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers are better. And they did, again, Bob, win a playoff game last year. And they're looking to be not just the best team in that division, but maybe one of the best tems in the NFC.
But if I were to get back to maybe something you're circling for tonight, it sounds like it's Cousins against pressure, historically struggling.
Right.
Or not historically struggling, but right now you like Tampa's pressure against Cousins. Woody Page now on tonight, and who'd you rather be going in?
Well, I have utmost respect for Bob Ryan, who was on the first Around the Horn show with me, and the 2 Jags that are on the show. But I'm going with Atlanta, and I'm going to give you the specific reasons why. We have seen a Kirk Cousins who may be in the last stages of his career because of the injury, and he can't move around. He's an immovable object on the field. But I think he's improved over the last 2 or 3 weeks. If they can just get Kyle Pitts involved, he's only caught half of the targets that he's been during the course of the season. But I'm going to give you the main edge, guys, and you won't understand this. Chick-fil-A is in that building in a concession stand. They're never open on Sunday, but it's the Thursday night game.
Yes,
That's when we see the different things happen. I'm taking the Falcons to win.
I see what you're doing there. Just get the ball to Kyle Pitts more. It's something that has been said by Falcons fans and or fantasy owners for the last 3 years. That's never been happening. All right, so you got Atlanta. You went the other way with your pick there. It sounds like Woody Page. You got it because of the home field chicken advantage. All right, that's a known.
Falcons fly.
Yeah. All right, a known thing.
Chickens fried.
David, you've got Tampa. Kevin, you've got Tampa. Bob Ryan, you've got Tampa, it sounds like. We'll move on. Do you believe in momentum in the baseball playoffs? Look at this poll. This shocked me. 85.5% say yes. What happened to momentum is the next day's starting pitcher. Or the next swing. That swing by Churio was a monster, his second home run of the game, and then Mitchell, the pinch hit home run. Mets had all the momentum, and now no Momo. Now Milwaukee. Jose Quintana versus Tobias Myers on the mound. It's a game we saw last week. Myers didn't start that game last week, but did shut down the Mets last week. On Brewers snatching momentum, and tonight's winner-take-all. Around the horn, Woody Page.
Well, as those 85% of those polling people know that momentum is motion and mass plus velocity. It's like a truck going downhill. We saw in the sixth inning when there was a pinch hitter in Mitchell who had gone into the game earlier as a pinch runner and got thrown out at second base. Well, he had a second opportunity. If that's not momentum, I don't know what is moving the force ahead. I'm going with the Milwaukee Brewers. I think that they've got the momentum. We've seen it throughout the playoffs already. I believe that. And baseball particularly, more than the other sports, I think that momentum, when you get riding and we see winning streaks in baseball, unlike we see in basketball or hockey or even football, I think it's going to happen, and it continues to happen. I believe in momentum.
Bob Ryan, you seem apoplectic hearing what he say. He believes in momentum in baseball. Please, go ahead. Floor is yours.
I'm a profound momentum skeptic, especially in baseball. You know, teams get hot. They get hot. That's not momentum. You know what momentum is? Remember Slinky? You put it on the step, and it went down the step, and it went down the next step, went down the next step. Slinky, that's momentum. That's got nothing to do with baseball. And by the way, it was Earl Weaver, Tony, who said that momentum is tomorrow's starting pitcher, okay? No, it got nothing to do with anything. Now, the one sport where there was a maybe temporary momentum is basketball. Teams get hot. The crowd gets into it. Shots are starting to fall. The referees kind of, they give them a little break. That's momentum, and that doesn't even last the whole game. That lasts for about 5 minutes. So that's it. 5 minutes of momentum in all the sports, and baseball has none of it.
So then talk to me about Quintana versus Myers tonight. Those are your starting pitchers, but it's winner take all, so you know all arms available.
On paper, on logic, the Mets should be favored because of the starting pitcher discrepancy. Quintana's hot. He's got a proven commodity. Tobias Myers is a rookie. You don't know what to expect, although he's coming off a great start. I agree to that. But still, will it repeat itself? Okay. But I like the whole shtick of Milwaukee, and I think that maybe it's just their time to get back to the World Series for the first time in 42
You don't believe in momentum, but you believe in shtick. All right, Kevin Clark, please, on momentum.
Stick.
Momentum is just the next panelist, Tony Reale. First of all, Bob Ryan, I would add downhill skiing to the list of sports that have momentum because you're going to need a lot of that going downhill there. But for me, a lot of times what we're talking about with momentum is just form. And the Brewers are rounding into form. Chourio was the first player to hit 2 game-tying home runs in one postseason game since Babe Ruth in 1928. Youngest player to hit 2 homers in a postseason game since Andrew Jones 25 years ago, maybe more. So I think you're looking at a team that is just rounding into form. That's momentum. The Mets were 2 of 11 with runners in scoring position last night when they had their best mark for that for the season 2 games ago. And so I think we're seeing a little bit of momentum carry over from last night to tonight. I like the Brewers here.
David Dennis Jr.
I don't believe in momentum over the course of a 48-hour period. I believe in momentum over the course of an entire month. And that's Jose Quintana at its .72 ERA for the entire month of September. And he is on a mission to close out this series in Game 3. Also, Diaz is going to be added back as a closer in Game 3 who has not been able to do that for a few days. The Mets have the pitching right now, especially when you look at the Brewers, who are hitting an uncharacteristic amount of home runs last night. They were below average in home runs for the season. This is for the Mets and ending momentum and winning Game 3.
All right. Who's got momentum going into buy or sell? That's what I want to know. Take a break. Coming back. Rookie of the Year announced in the WNBA, and you will not believe it. You will not. Okay, it's Caitlin Clark. But you will not believe what's next for the Tigers, Royals, and Padres. More momentum momentarily. The Rookie of the Year race in the WNBA was as electric as anything this summer, but it became a foregone conclusion, as we all know, once Caitlin Clark came back from Olympic break and scorched earth, and then Angel Reese's injury. The final voting released today, not unanimous, but one away. 66 of 67 votes for Clark. Reese got the one other first place vote. Clark, Reese, Jackson, Cardozo, and Fibich all rookie first team. David Dennis Jr., takeaway.
Understatement of the day is that Caitlin Clark is the real deal. She was the first player in WNBA history to lead the league in assists and three-pointers made per game. But here's the big takeaway from her season, is that this is not just a good rookie story of a great player on a bad team. The Fever are coming. They have two number one picks back-to-back, Aaliyah Boston and Caitlin Clark. And in WNBA history, every time that's happened, last 3 times that's happened, those teams have won championships within 3 years. By the time the season was over and Caitlin Clark was in the playoffs, nobody wanted a part of them. They put fear in the heart of that Sun team, and they are next up as soon as the Aces and Liberty are out of here.
Kevin Clark.
Yeah, buying Caitlin Clark, this is the worst she'll ever be because, as David said, the team is getting better, but more importantly, she generated 45% of the Indiana Fever's points this year, whether that's a point or an assist. That is by far the most in the WNBA, rookie or not, and it's almost at Cynthia Cooper's WNBA mark all time. She's going to get better. Her teammates are going to make more shots. This is a special run for a special player. I honestly, I know this sounds, I just want to see what happens next. I mean, it is one of the most compelling stories in sports right now.
Bob Ryan.
Well, we know she's also the MIP, the most important, the most influential, most impactful player in the league for a variety of reasons. Let me tell you one other thing. She makes the pass in transition from the backcourt to the front court, two-hand chest or whatever, dropping a dime for a layup better than anybody I've ever seen. Now, that means male or female. Sorry, males. None of you ever have done it better than this young lady does it. It's remarkable.
And Woody Page.
In the 22 years that Bob and I've done this show, this might be the easiest buy of all
Yeah,
time.
I know.
Of course, she should be. She should be.
What I want to know is what was the
Guys,
most
we talked
impressive
about
part of the
stats.
most impressive rookie year we've ever seen in sports?
All the smoke and mirrors, all the controversy, all the publicity about her. And guess what? She survived it. She surpassed what people expected of her. That's the most important aspect of the entire season, that she is a great superstar in basketball. Both basketball.
Yeah, exceeding expectation may be the most impressive part of it. I think I might be able to. I just talked myself into a new question. Is this the best rookie year we've ever seen in the history of sport? Now, Candace Parker, in this sport, won MVP that rookie year, so maybe you got to slot that ahead. I can think of Ichiro Suzuki, but that was a different scenario when he was Rookie of the Year and MVP. Bob, real quick, as I'm talking it out in my brain here, most impressive rookie year in all of sports that you've ever seen. Am I blanking on one here?
There's been an MVP, Rookie of the Year, Wes Unseld. There have been Bird Magic.
There have been
MVP
MVPs. Right, and that was not
Yes.
what Clark is. But you said impact and influential, and I'm trying to put it all together. We'll move on. Momentous momentum moments for San Diego, Kansas City, and Detroit. Here we go. This is the story I'm excited about as well. In their sweeps, the Padres are like, we're a great story. We're hot and we're great. And KC's like, hold this beer, daddies. We lost 106 last year and we are hot. And the Detroit is like, whoa, this old English tea got something for you, Reales. And now we're white hot. Kevin, who's been most impressive in their sweep? Padres, Royals, or Tigers?
It's the Detroit Tigers. If you beat a team whose floor is the ALCS, that's the most impressive part. The last time the Astros did not make the ALCS, Barack Obama was president. This is the youngest roster left in the postseason. No team in years has been this far back with 110 games to go, okay? 110 games into the season, okay? There are 4 teams in history who've done it. All of them won the World Series. If you were 10 games back with 110 games
Love that.
into the season, sorry, I'm screwing this up.
Yeah.
But
No,
if you
but-
do
but
this,
what you're saying
and you
is
win a
true.
postseason
The way
series,
they've had
you
and
win
built
the World
momentum,
Series.
some
That's
might say.
momentum. That's momentum.
Yeah.
I'm trying to describe momentum and I'm screwing it up, Bob
Yeah,
Ryan.
Bob Ryan, please go.
There's all kind of great drama surrounding the Tigers, as we know, great drama surrounding other teams. But hey, we asked about the specific impressive nature of the victory here. They shut out, they held the Orioles to 1 run in 18 innings, and that was a solo homer by Cedric Mullins. That's the most impressive performance. I'm not picking them to win. I'm not at all, but I got to give the Royals credit. And by the way, they got a pretty good story themselves, you know. So, but come on.
Woody Page,
How can you
most
get better
impressive
than
in their
that?
sweep.
Give me the Padres.
Yeah.
Last year, the most disappointing team in all of baseball, and they came back and they were being disappointing for the first half of the year. Then they go 51-13, and they just dominate. The towel waving, the excitement there in San Diego, and they haven't been in a World Series since Reagan was the president. Kevin, you don't remember him, do you?
Yeah, I've always appreciated an older president than you said. What do you say, Obama? That's like it was last week. David Dennis Jr. How about you?
It's the Detroit Tigers. They beat the immovable force and the indestructible object in that Astros. Them going beyond the wild card has been a given for the last 7 years. And when they were up in that 8th inning, it just felt like, okay, this is the Astros turning around. The Detroit Tigers, prior to then, in the 8th inning in the playoffs, when they're trailing, were 1-22, right? And for them to come back and do that against that team is a monumental win.
One more story. Momentum going the other way was the Orioles, all right? Team that was ahead of schedule, then right on schedule, wrecked by injuries to their pitching and a second half malaise. But now they have a stat that you don't want to be associated with. 10 straight postseason losses. Bob, what now for the Baltimore Orioles?
They're going in the wrong direction. The second half of the year certainly should have told us something. And they've got impending problems with free agency, of course, with Burns and with Santander. If they lose Santander, it's 44 home runs. They have a very, very important offseason coming up for the G.
Woody Page?
Coming back from being such a miserable team of 2-3 years ago, and what they've done and accomplished with a younger team and with their draft, I think that's important. But you got to make trades for veterans that are going to help you.
Do you think there's still some disappointment here?
They were a bad 500 team in the second half. They've got to get veteran leadership there, or they're going to continue.
David,
to
would
just,
you consider this a
swapped.
disappointment for the Orioles?
I think so. This is an example of life coming at you fast. Last year, they were ahead of schedule, and everybody talked about them being a surprise team. And this year, they just whiffed on the trade deadline. They didn't make enough improvements. Westbrook got hurt, and they seemed to fall off of a cliff. So, yeah, this is a disappointment when they had their window right there to make some
KC, is
improvements.
that how you see it?
Yeah, huge disappointment. Only one team in history has ever won more games over a 2-year span and not come away with a playoff win. This is really disappointing for Baltimore. The entire city.
Disappointment here from Woody Page and David Dennis Jr. putting the in momentum.
Get my car ready.
Clark Ryan, showdown next.
Around the Horn is presented by the refreshing taste of Twisted Tea Hard Iced Tea. Please drink responsibly. Part of Happy Hour.
Bob Ryan, Kevin Clark, good luck in showdown. Joe Burrow saying he has to be damn near perfect versus the Ravens Sunday. Kevin, perfect?
He's right, but not for the reason anything that has to do with offense. The defense with the Bengals right now is 27th in points per game allowed. That Ravens defense is really good. They're going to have to score points.
Bob Ryan?
All he's got to do is keep doing what he's doing. Since he's had that fiasco against the Patriots, he's averaging 271 yards passing the last 3 games. That will help get the job done. You don't have to be perfect. You have to just be pretty damn good.
Pretty damn good is enough for me. That's pretty damn good, Bob. We'll move on. A report from Albert Breer. Teams are convinced Davante Adams is engineering a trade to the New York Jets. Bob, engineering?
Hey, I'm going to go biblical on you. Nothing new under the sun. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar willed himself out of Milwaukee. Wilt willed himself out of town. They're just borrowing from an age-old playbook. He wants to play with Aaron Rodgers. Everybody in the world knows it. No surprise.
Kevin Clark?
First of all, yeah, Devontae Adams, friend of the year, wanted to play with Derek Carr, wanted to play with Aaron Rodgers twice. He is a very, very good friend. Having said that, Aaron Rodgers told me the last year that they were together, Devontae Adams was the primary read on 80% of offensive passing plays. Who wouldn't, from a football perspective, want to play with Aaron Rodgers again? He will get him the ball. This makes all the sense in the world. That's why you engineer it.
Need an algorithm to do some engineering, I guess, there, Kevin Clark. But it's not enough momentum. Bob Ryan. FaceTime.
October 3rd is the mutual birthday of a pair of Hall of Famers with a combined 46 years of MLB experience. Dave Winfield, born October 3rd, 1951. First time I ever saw him play was a week after he ended his College World Series days with Minnesota. He did not go minor league baseball. He had a ground ball 2-hopper to short in the Astrodome and caused a bang-bang play at first. I said, my God, he's 6'6". How did he get down the line so fast? Well, we found out after the next 22 years how he got down the line so fast, and nobody went from first to third better. Dennis Eckersley, born in 1954 in this state, MVP, Cy Young in 92. You know what? As a reinvented closer, he had 93 strikeouts and 5 non-intentional bases on balls. One of the best years ever for a closer, and also one of the ultimate stand-up guys is Dennis Eckersley. Happy birthday, both of you.
That is one of the great, great, great birthdays, but not the greatest. LeBron, Tiger, Sandy Koufax. What are we talking about? December